Hi,
Hey,
Reshma.
hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good, I'm good. Thank
It's
you for
good that we're.
having me. Yeah,
I'm so happy we're doing this finally. I know we've been talking about it,
since a long
but
time.
you've been doing a lot of work with starseed parenting, and it's really fascinating. And I'm happy that we can finally have some guidance as parents. So, what is a starseed?
Again, thank you for having me, Patty. Starseeds are not a new term for people. For more than half a decade, people have been talking. Mainly, Dolores Cannon started sharing a lot about starseeds. However, starseeds are the multidimensional beings who have come to Earth for a specific purpose. They come from different cosmos, different galaxies, different star nations, and they come and take incarnation in human body. Now, the reason why they take incarnation in human bodies because they are assigned a specific role. They are assigned a specific task. Like, say, for example, right now, the entire earth is evolving, right? Everybody is ascending in the sense they are getting awakened about everything, what's truly happening rather than the manipulation, what humanity was subjugated to for such a long time, like for more than eons together, right? Civilization after civilization after civilization, humans have, instead of evolve, have devolved. So the main purpose of star seeds is to come to Earth with a specific mission to hold light, to incarnate, to integrate light and healing and awaken people to recognize their true authentic potential. Like, say, for example, in a layman's language, we all have been using fluoride in our toothpaste, right? However, that is the biggest detriment for humanity because fluoride calcifies our pineal gland. We are not supposed to use fluoridated, for lack of a better word, toothpaste because that calcifies our pineal gland. So it stops our growth of looking through our third eye, right? The pineal gland, where in the hypothalamus, where. So it stops our growth to look in through third eye, like internal intuition, looking at the visions, teleportation, levitation. Furthermore, these are the higher levels as a person ascends. So humans, before when they came as the star seeds, when they came to Earth in the initial part of when the Earth started to evolve, at that time, humans came, they used to be able to levitate. They used to be able to connect without speaking. That's how telepathy and kinesthetic skills have come into our awareness. So when all this was happening, it was more or less of humanity was very evolved. And civilizations after civilizations, as we spoke about, like Lemuria and Mu and Atlantis and then Egyptian and so forth. When we moved forward, humanity got more and more intergalactic species included into the sphere of existence for Earth. And that changed the way how humans started connecting and relating with each other. And
So,
yeah,
when you say can you just go back to explain the pineal gland? You mentioned the pineal gland. What role does that play? Where is it? What is the pineal gland?
pineal gland is a tiny little dot inside it's a gland in the hypothalamus area, which basically some people believe it's a seat of the soul. Some people believe that's one of the major glands where how we can integrate intergalactically and connect intergalactically with different star nations and species. And that's how they used to connect from one dimension to the other dimension. They never used to be cell phones. There never used to be phones or emails and all these different things what we use right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, people used to talk with their mind. There were no speeches. There were vibrational frequencies. There were musical notes in the environment. That's how people have come up. We have such great musicians because they were tapping into the frequencies of the universal and multi-universal, multi-dimensionally connecting with each other without using any physical connecting device, like how we use it, as I said, telephone right now, right? Or computers. This all has been evolved when it comes to science, but that has devolved our consciousness. Because we did not need a computer, we did not need a phone when the founder races came to Earth, and we used to connect with each other with our own true divine presence itself. Our DNA has 12 plus strands, whereas we are functioning on the minimal of 2 strands. And that is what, it's another conversation altogether, but that is what the entire agenda about devolving humanity is, to be dominated, manipulated, indoctrinated by some handful who wanted to control humanity. Yeah, they were called regressive aliens because when all these aliens came to Earth, one after the other, different species came to Earth. As I said, we all are intergalactic beings, right? So we all have come from different star nations. So some of the intergalactic beings, aliens, when they came to Earth, instead of evolving, their agenda was to harvest and control Earth. So that is when the actual humanity devolution started. So starseeds came since last at least 100 years or so, 80 years or so, that they've started coming into the picture because they have come to help humanity to evolve, get out of all this programming, what we have been subjugated to. And then their intention is so that they will hold light for us. They will have different kind of missions on Earth. And those missions will help humanity to come out of their own cage. Like the stimulus created for us, the holographic and photographic stimulus created for us, which makes us believe into things which is not truly us. That is the main function of starseeds, to help humans to recognize where they have been put into limitations and to grow from there, to recognize and how to come out of it. We call them elites now. The elites in this today's world, we say these are the elite community. Elite community are basically trained or programmed or conditioned to control others. Instead of letting us humans stand in our own sovereignty, we have been subjugated to be controlled by others. That's why, very sensitive topic, but that's why the government was involved. That's why the government was invented in the first place, that a handful of people will take charge of things instead of everybody being sovereignly, independently, sovereignly in their own essence. They would take charge of their own. Some people would take charge of the rest of the clan. That is not how Native Americans believed in. Native Americans believed in open land, open mind, staying in a community, helping each other, supporting each other. Because everybody is gifted, Patty. Everybody is gifted in one or the other ways. Now, when everybody is gifted, it is a treasure to help each other and be in community to support each other, right? Whereas the devolution started occurring is when some handful would be in charge of any kind of environment, and they would dictate terms to the collective consciousness of how to be, what to be. Like we used to be free in nature. We used to communicate with air, the weather, right? We used to communicate with earth, water, fire, air. We used to travel astrally with our consciousness because we were so powerful, right? And now that all has been indoctrinated in such a way that our own skills and our own gifts are being used against us instead of uplifting us.
I see.
So
And like you were saying,
so starseeds came into the picture so that the starseeds can hold space because they are from the advanced civilization. They are out of this star nation. It means they are out of Earth, right? Like how the founder races came from different star nations. Starseeds also come from different star nations, but they are from advanced technology. They are from advanced civilization. So when they saw that Earth needs help, and when the Earth Alliance, we used to call them Solar Warden, and now another name it has, they all have, when they asked for help, so these civilizations came and took the role of planting the columns of light on Earth so that the collective consciousness can come out of the darkness of what they have been pushed into. So starseeds come with an agenda, specific mission to come to this earth to uplift humanity in lot of different ways. They have lot of different visions, They have lot of different missions. Like some of them come for uplifting the environment and social justice, like the amount of pollution what humanity has been creating on this earth. So they fight for the environmental betterment, right? So these are different star seeds. Some of them come to uplift collective consciousness, to make them aware about how we just spoke about that, how we have pineal gland, we have consciousness. We have heart space. We have telepathic communicational skills. We can tap into different vibrational frequency. We can interdimensionally travel within each dimension. All these skills are made aware of by the star seeds. That's what their role is. The healers, right? The healers, they came. The healers are star seeds because they tap into the vibration of the one who they are working with. Then they help them to tap into their vibration and to come into alignment with their own vibration frequency. So these are all star seeds.
Okay.
In a
So you're
nutshell,
saying
it was the longest sentence.
that's good. So humanity was jeopardized. Like initially we were used to connecting with nature and we had our innate skills and loves and needs, and it was jeopardized.
Sovereignty.
Our sovereignty was jeopardized, and so our energy was harvested, or our mission was jeopardized. And the star seeds have come in to help us remember and kind of help us become our greatest potential.
Yes, to just remind us that we are not just 2 strands of DNA, we are 12 strands and more, depending on how high the dimension we go to. You know. But humans themselves have 12 strands in their DNA. So can you imagine how expanded their consciousness is?
Yeah, that's amazing.
How amazing it is, how expanded our consciousness is, instead of just being subjugated into the finite loop of, we call it hamster wheel.
Yeah, the
right?
hamster wheel we've been on.
Hamster wheel.
So how do you know if you're a starseed or your children are starseeds? Are there, I mean, I know we don't have a lot of memory for a reason, but how would we know?
First of all, heart knows that myself or my children are not the same. They're not fitting in. Okay. Mm-hmm. Most of the star seeds are planted in the places where there is highest turmoil, where highest light is required. Most of the star seeds have very similar storyline of their childhood, of having very difficult childhood. Why? Because they are breaking through the entire paradigm of old earth and trying to bring in new mindset. It's an awakened consciousness trying to go through the indoctrination of old earth paradigm. So it's going to create revolution. It's going to create conflict. It's going to create disalignment with the old, which has to be collapsed. In order for anything to collapse, it has to have penetration, right? So the star seeds come with the highest light in those alleys where there are darkest, in those darkest alleys. So the star seed, adult or parent, adult or children, you would know their behavior will be different, their dietary situation will be different, their mindset will be different, their thoughts will be different. And I'm not only talking about how we call it generation gap, like how we are different than our parents, that goes without saying, because it's the advancement of what we experience, which in reality is the devolution instead of evolution, right? That's what we just spoke about, right? Right? So starseed parents and children will know that they are different, because one of the major traits is they would keep longing that I want to go back home. You know, when the child is born, some children really cry the hardest. That is because the memory comes back that I have come to this earth before and it was not a very good experience.
Wow.
Because they come from the higher civilization, from the advanced civilizations, and when they come here, they can see the amount of pain and agony, and they can sense it. So that's why the children cry a lot. It's painful, and that's the reason. This is called gestation period, if I may explain this. Gestation period is like when the child is born in certain culture and certain civilizations also. A child and the mother were kept secluded in isolation for at least for a month or 40 days period, they call it. Why? It's because when the fetus is being formed in the womb, the fetus is encompassing a lot of understanding and knowledge of the environment of the mother's womb, like the voice of the mother, the vibrational frequency of the mother's feeling, of what she's feeling, how she's feeling. the voice of the father, the immediate family members, what the mother's emotions are at the time of she conceived and she's pregnant. That's why we say that we must take care of the pregnant woman, keep her happy, and make sure she's taken good care of. Unfortunately, in the modernization, people don't understand that. In certain culture, it is still very sacred, and the mother is kept isolated most of the time because she's taking care of a new birth altogether on this earth.
Yeah.
And that is where the child is kept separate. Even after birth, for 40 days, it's called gestation period, as I said. And in that gestation period, the child is introduced very slowly and gradually to the outer world, coming out of the amniotic fluid and the plasma inside in the womb. Like the child was not born with a flashlight. Okay, so there is darkness over there, which is the most fertile ground for anything to grow. Like the seed does not grow in the sunlight. The seed grows when it is under protection, right? It sprouts when it is in dark. The child does not grow, is not born outside the womb. The child is born inside the womb, and so forth. So the power of isolation, the power of being separated from the rest of the collective consciousness creates that strength of how to move forward. And then, of course, we can talk about gestation period in detail once we go deeper into it. But these are the star seeds who come to this earth plane in order to hold space for others to awaken. You will tell. Like nowadays, you know how we see the videos? Mama, don't eat meat. It hurts me if you eat meat. I don't fight with my father. Things like that, These are the star seeds because they are more empathic. They are more awakened. They are more aware about what's going on.
I have so many questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there must be more than ever star seeds coming now. Is that the case? Or
Oh, yes, especially after COVID. That's why they call them COVID babies, right? Because the last 5 years have been so difficult for a lot of people, correct? After the shutdown. And the COVID period has been very taxing. That was the highest influx of new birth because more and more light was required on this earth. And believe it or not, at the time when the COVID shutdown occurred, the death rate of newborn practically went zero. Why? Because they did not have much time for well visit. They did not have much time for being vaccinated. So the death rate practically went zero. That's what one of the research I just read the other day. And it makes sense, isn't it? It makes absolute sense about how things go with us and how we talk about it. So starseeds come since last half a century. The influx has increased very heavily. And since 89, extremely faster pace of newborns. They have been holding light because so much progression of evolution of human consciousness has commenced.
I feel emotional about that. I have chills and it's amazing because there's so many little ones that I've encountered, toddlers even, and you can tell, like you see them, they look at you like they've known you or are just so much wiser than their little years. And it's just, you can feel it, and they seem very aware and interested and compassionate and empathetic. Just beautiful, beautiful souls.
Precious.
Yeah. So how do we support our starseed children?
Firstly, the way to support starseed children is recognize that all the children are special. They do not come with a price tag or a name tag or a label right on them that I'm a starseed. For me, all children are special. For me, all children are gifted. So recognize what is the strength of this particular son or daughter or the children who we have around us. Because they all have something to offer to the community. Yeah? So once you recognize that this is like somebody's a mathematician, somebody's a musician, right? Somebody's a linguist, and somebody's a fine art teacher. Isn't that? It takes a village to raise a giant. So when you find out what is the skill of your child, specifically for the parents, just observe. Do not impose. Do not act the way how, oh, I was raised in this way, so I'm going to raise my child in this way. Observe and find out what is the skill level, what is the skill interest, and then facilitate support instead of asking for them to follow what you say only. Be guidance, be of guidance, but do not dictate down to them. Observe.
And then one thing you brought up COVID, and I know I've noticed the years of isolation and then that period of metamorphosis. It's really affected my children. I'm a mother of 3, as you know, and I just see I know that it's waking them up. I know what's, intrinsically it might be doing, but still it's difficult to support kids that have been through it was traumatic periods, of the fear and the isolation, not knowing. And, my kids are a little older, but it still seemed to affect them. Do you have advice?
Oh, very interesting, because I was just asked about this. First, what I would say is observe. Observe where they are feeling the discord, where they are feeling restlessness, where they are feeling insecure, where they are feeling ungrounded, right? First observe. However, I would first work with myself to see where am I feeling shaky, because our ungroundedness is reflected into our children. So once you observe yourself, then observe them, and then believe that this all is evolution in the real sense. So in order for resurgence, the old has to collapse, right? And to release the old, and when it is collapsing, it's not a pretty sight. Like somebody's constructing a new construction in a land where there had been old houses, old structures, some kind of construction over there. In order to bring up a new construction over there, new building over there, they have to remove the old, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when they're removing the old, the rubble's gonna fly anyways.
Yeah.
So in
I
order
have
for
seen
resurgence, right? In order for resurgence, the collapse will occur. So have faith that new is coming, which is good for us, and we all are involved in this growth.
Yeah. I have seen them once they find their passion. Like my one daughter just loves nature, and she's made that her major in school, and she's a different person now that she's found that, that how nature completes her, and she's finding her way. So I see what you're saying. That's really, supporting what they love, and examining yourself. I believe that. That'll be our reflections.
Isn't that beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. And then the other thing I wanted to ask, we have so many kids with autism, and, they're being diagnosed with ADHD and the different things, and medicated. And I have a child who has special needs. You know Brianna very well. She has a rare genetic disorder that happened at conception, supposedly. So I have many questions, but I know it's something that you'll get to in later times about, what the gestation is for the child, like you mentioned. So what is your opinion about the kids that are being diagnosed or labeled with certain, disorders?
It's a very controversial mindset that I have. I truly do not believe they have any kind of disorder. Yes, they do not fit in the mainstream understanding of normalcy, what they ask from children and adults, right? However, I have seen the way how they communicate interdimensionally. I have seen how they connect with the frequencies and not with the any languages, to just communicate with words. How they communicate with different sensories. Like if somebody is not very good with words and expressing, they would express it with their music, or they would express it with their vision. Their eyes would never lie. Whether it's a special age child or not. A soul, it's said that the eye is the window of the soul, right? Their eyes would never lie. Their eyes would tell you how awakened they are. Their eyes would tell you how progressive they are. Their eyes would tell you how ascended they are. So this is my personal take on this, because I am very, very invested in special age children. I love them so much. They come to me astrally and physically also wherever we go, and they connect, and they want to know. They want to just connect because they see the love that we have for them. When a child is born, there is some kind of expectation that the child has to have a growth chart, right? Like, so the parent takes the child to the pediatrician or the institution or wherever it has to be. And then they say, oh, this is late for the normal growth of a child. This is not late. This is not normal. They have a chart, right? That I called it, that's the beginning of being institutionalization outside the house, and which is detrimental for any child to grow. Because every child is unique. Every child grows at a different stages. When the child is being institutionalized that way and has been labeled that her hearing or his speech or anything is late as per requisition, that is because he's picking up more vibrational frequencies in that domain than the rest of the children. So the parents get report that so-and-so is late for the child, so we will give you a therapy. That's another institutionalization. Humans, instead of being allowed to grow naturally, organically, since birth, the moment the child comes out of the womb, the child is being institutionalized in one or the other way. That takes away the soul, the spirit, the true essence of humanity. The child who is told is autistic, say for example, they have so many different skills. I have pictures of adults who have made ice sculptures just right close to my home in the lake where it gets frozen in wintertime. And adults who are called autistic, they have created such marvelous ice sculptures just out of the frozen lake. And that's a gift. That's a gift. I would not call that child autistic. I would call that profoundly, profoundly gifted. Children are gifted. Children are profoundly gifted. Children are special aids. Now, when the child gets institutionalized like that, so the parent starts understanding this is how my child is and this is what his expectation. Usually, the parents have the projection of expectation out of their child, if not aware of whatever they have missed in their childhood or their upbringing, they want to see in their children. But aware and awakened parents do not do that. They just let the child grow as per their own growth. Correct? So these are two major differences. And besides that, if the child has difference in growing up, when the child gets institutionalized, the parent starts guilty that I did not give birth to a normal child. Now that starts a very vicious cycle of give and take of programs, mindset, medications, doctor visits, stress, guilt, shame, you name it. Since the birth, since the time the child gets analyzed that this so-and-so has been the report of the child, right? When this happens, the downfall for the child starts. Because the kind of medications what they are given, the special aid children, in whichever way they are given, they are basically numbing down the symptoms, not removing the cause, because they do not know the cause. They do not understand the cause. They understand scientifically, and which I honor because we work with a lot of scientific people. We work with a lot of doctors. Nothing against medical world. But the way how the special aid children have been misjudged and the parents been misguided, that has taken off the biggest gifts on this earth. Those star seeds who came here, who have been labeled as we are speaking of them right now, they are the highest consciousness which came here to anchor light for humanity. And because they did not fit into the normal, right, as we call it, quote unquote, they were being institutionalized and shunned into asylums, I call them, where they would be put as she is not normal, she is handicapped, or she is special aid, or he is so and so, he does not do this right, oh, this is so. Like, I have met some of them and my heart cries because the children meet with our eyes and their soul tells you it's like help because we are being captive over here. The longer the children gets medicated and institutionalized, the stronger the resistance theirs are. And that's why they say this is a very severe spectrum of autism. This is a very normal or a slight or whatever the terms they use for autism.
They're on the spectrum. They've got different degrees.
Different degrees, yes, thank you. And that's the reason why I try to do my best to meet them when they are the youngest, so that the least amount of toxins, especially the mercury and all the other heavy metals that are laden in these medications, is detrimental for anybody, let aside a child. There are very good Awaken doctors who work with special aid people, children, who do not agree with giving them these kind of medication, and they are more dependent, I would say, more connected with natural therapies of how to allow the expansion of the child's consciousness. Because they are so overgifted because they are called special aid. They're basically so awakened and so aware of their environment, of the galactic frequencies, the Schumann resonances, the solar flares. They do not affect them in the adverse way how it affects you and I. Why? Because those children are already there. They already are aware of how those frequencies are working.
Yeah, I just have my own experience to compare. And you met Brianna, when she was really little. Now she's 16. But so I did learn a lot from you, and I've always done a lot of research. But when she's first diagnosed, it's a transformation for the parents. Like it takes a while to see the good in it. It's, you were expecting one life and everything gets turned upside down, which is, I guess, their purpose. And, one thing I've noticed is you go through that period of guilt. What did I do? Why? How did this happen? What did I do to my child? So there's the parents go through so much, and the child's fine. Like my daughter, she's fine. Like she was happy and loving. And I'm at the point, of course, where I just appreciate her. She knows people's spirits and souls and motivation. Like she's nonverbal, but we have long conversations. Just, I just always know what she needs, what she wants. She smiles, she laughs. She knows somebody that might not be great intentioned, because, she won't, like she uses hugs. She loves to hug people that she feels like a thank you would be a big hug. But if there's someone she doesn't trust, she'll kind of close up and she won't let them near her. And she's in a wheelchair. But I think it's really interesting what you're saying. And it's liberating for parents because it's not our fault. It's actually the opposite. Like this is a really good thing. It's a gift. I consider it an amazing gift to have Brianna in my life. She's phenomenal. It's different. It's a lot of work and responsibility. And it's really important to have the support of people like you, Reshma.
Thank you.
So it's just
now,
amazing. And
imagine, if I may say this, Patty, imagine she's 16, right?
Yeah.
So if instead of, and I don't blame any medical system, I'm just not agreeing with the way how it was founded to be conditioned in such a way so that they would not allow these children to come up, because that was the entire agenda, to keep humanity subdued, right? So imagine before 16 years and whenever Brianna was born, and instead of telling you that she is special aid or not perfect, if you would have been told that she's profoundly, profoundly gifted and she connects intergalactically with different frequencies and she's here for a bigger mission to awaken humanity in her own silent ways or in whichever beautiful ways she's, how different your life would be right now.
Yes.
Instead of collecting, they collected the loosh out of whatever our sadness and our feeling bad, guilt and shame and everything what they collected, the negative energy that's called soul harvesting, right? So whatever they collected out of us, instead of that, if we would have been elated to know that, oh, we've got a starseed and is for a special mission over here, wouldn't your life be different? Wouldn't Brianna's life be different?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It wouldn't have taken as long to get to the point of this appreciation and encouraging
rather than
her.
there was no place for shame or guilt. You didn't even have to go that route that you had to wait for being appreciated. You would be cheered and the evolution would have been much more sooner. But everything is divine time, which we understand. So that instead of feeling shame and guilt for not getting the perfect child, if the parents were given encouragement that beautiful, this is a starseed and look at the gifts he or she has brought to this earth and she or he is anchoring light and so forth, because every child is different, right? Their journey is different. Wouldn't that be much more, what do you call it? The evolution of humanity would be faster.
Yes.
Right?
There wouldn't be so much resistance. Everything seems hard.
Not so much pain and agony.
Yeah, and wondering if you're doing the right thing, or it's just it's very medicalized at this point.
I believe every mother and father does their best for their parent. It may not be the best as per the judgment of others, but in their own understanding, whatever little or big they do their best for their children. It could use a little bit of guidance if a person feels detoured or stuck, but they are doing their best for their children. So it's not right to judge on anybody's part how others parenting their children. Correct?
But we do need the support.
Of
so
course.
It's good that you're offering.
Thank you.
And
that's
these
what
insights.
My role is here. Support is support and supportive, right? Not criticizing or condemning or adding shame or guilt into the parents. That's what I believe in. It's commendable the way how parents are holding up this front for all these years, despite of so much of hardship, isn't it?
It really is. It's a lot. It's a lot to be a parent today. It really
Especially
is.
when you have been manipulated into shame and guilt for your own child.
Yeah.
That's what I don't agree with. Like, empathy is the basic essence of humanity. Compassion and love is the basic essence of humanity, which we were robbed of by the regressive aliens. So now, since we are waking up, now since we are awake and aware of actually what's happened to humanity, isn't it high time that we all wake up and stand up for each other and support each other?
Yes, it absolutely is.
Right?
Yeah.
That is what we are working on right now. That is what I'm holding space for. Special ed children, of course. Gifted children are so misunderstood. Gifted children does not mean you dump more academics on them. Gifted children means they are hardwired differently. So they learn things differently. Does not mean you give them advanced collection of study material.
Right.
But some could be kinesthetic, some could be hands-on, and so they could be surgeon, like the bronze star seeds, right? Bronze star seeds are very good with their hands and their motor skills. So they could be into athletics, or they could be surgeons and medical professionals who work with their dexterous. They are dexterous, right? Rainbow children are different kind. So in other words, indigo, rainbow, crystal, and gold, and so forth. All these different starseed children came to Earth, which have been categorized traditionally. However, their basic mission is the same. Their basic mission is the same in the sense their basic mission is in a way that they are holding space in love and light for the collective consciousness to gather their own awareness and ascend in their own humanity.
Okay.
Like when
that makes sense.
When the idea of starseeds being come to Earth was introduced to us, we were all categorized into different starseed systems. But as the time has evolved, and especially after COVID, all the children who have come and who are ascended, who are awakened, and who are starseeds, they all have the same mission to hold space and light. Because so many children have sacrificed their soul being human trafficked, being tunneled, being all this what we hear right now, right?
Yeah.
Did we know that? Maybe in the background, but now it's right in front of our face, that how humanity has devolved.
And why is it speeding up, and why is everyone suddenly aware? Is it at that point where the starseeds have done their job and everyone is really getting to a better spot where they can see the truth?
The reason why it's speeding up now is because more and more people are recognizing how we have been manipulated. So they are standing up for their own truth and owning up the responsibility that I'm not going to be manipulated anymore. I'm not going to be called things what I'm not. I'm not damaged. I'm not broken. I'm not a weak codependent. They made us feel like the sheep with a barcode, right? That we just indoctrinate you and you just follow what we are asking you to do. And that's the reason why shifts after shifts of different institutions have come and got so many different facets added to our growth that now humans are saturated. Like, enough is enough. Especially the children are being hurt after so much of human trafficking and how much ever they have come up with all the dark agendas, how they've hurt the children. So many children have disappeared. So many children have been born in underground and in tunnels who have not seen their light. And the rituals which are absolutely killing humanity.
Yeah, the
So now
stories.
humans are awakening. Like they are, it's like, enough, we are not taking this anymore. So more light comes in, more humans wake up, and so forth. It's a cycle.
Okay. Yeah, it's horrific. Some of the things that are coming out, and I know there's worse to come, but
No, worst is over.
Good.
Worst is over. We are just made aware of what used to happen. What you and I we are witnessing right now is the history of recognizing what happened with humanity. Now the entire scenario is changing. Humanity is waking up. They are not going to. That's the reason why I tell everywhere I go, first take care of your children, because that's the future. Keep them with you. I'm not asking you to be paranoid. I'm not inducing any fear. Awareness. Once you're aware of what could happen around you, then you're more aware about how to treat them. And safety of children, starseeds or otherwise also, does not only mean to hold them close to you and always be a helicopter parent. No. Safety means giving them intellectual and emotional quotient, their intellectual and emotional quotient, a higher vibration space, what they require.
Yeah, that's good. That makes sense.
Like how you said that, if children are really detrimented or really stressed out because of the COVID scenario, the best thing to do is communicate, show them the higher tools, show them how to connect as your daughter goes to nature, because that's where she's grounding into new earth, she's grounding into new frequencies.
Yeah, I noticed they're very much more aware of the energies around us and how to tap in. After COVID, I do notice that in my kids. They're much more in tuned with everything.
Meditation helps. Yeah. Crystal reading helps. Means playing with different rocks, because these are different elementals, right? Talking with nature helps. Hugging a tree helps. Sitting under the tree and grounding your energy with tree trunk helps. Changing your diet helps.
I remember when Bree was like, she must have been 7 or 8. And you and we brought her to the backyard because she can't walk. She's disabled with a very rare genetic disorder that affects her muscles. And she didn't know what her feet were for. She liked her feet up here. Like she would just be in a ball, like debris ball. And so we sat under the tree, remember? And we put her feet on the ground and I did that often, just teaching her to ground, like teaching her what her feet are for. And she was just, she's still very happy to be barefoot and to just, have her feet in grass and be connected with the earth. But it's just, it is amazing that those little things are so important. Like a lot of times kids are inside, they're on computers, on games, and it's just artificial and it just seeps time, just takes away so much. But I've seen it for myself. So, but I want to ask you, you're a starseed and you've had quite a journey. So do you want to talk a little bit about how you got to this point? How you're helping people in this way, helping parents of starseeds.
Patty, where do I start? I was around 11 or 12 years old. One of my neighbors was autistic, high spectrum, it's called. Perhaps could not speak, and he would always make the noise sitting in that chair. And that used to intrigue me. It's like as if he's trying to talk to me. And even after all these decades, I still get mushy when I hear that, because I hear that voice in my ears. And he was just trying to reach out, and his mother was so guilt-driven, feeling sad for giving birth to, as we just spoke about the entire dynamic right now.
Complete.
Yeah. And she was blaming herself. His father was devastated, and they had a younger daughter who was so burdened because all the expectations were coming to her that, oh, you are the sane one, you got to do this and you have to. It's unsaid burden which we levy upon the normal children of ours that, oh my, this one did not, but this one has to, because it becomes a project for the parents, And I could observe that, and being a very sensitive child by myself, and I could soak in all the information. I could basically see the way how the child was trying to tell me is that, tell them that I am not what they think I am. And I used to sit in front of him for hours sometimes and just watch. And his mother, my neighbor, she used to wonder, like, what am I doing looking at that child for so long, you know? But we were telepathically communicating with each other. That's how this all started. And since then, wherever I would go, if I would see a special ed child, they call it, and I don't like those labels. Why? Because these children are so profoundly gifted. So everywhere I would go, I would see those children, and I would just, my feet will just get rooted there because I would connect with their heart, and their heart is saying, it's like, how long is it going to take for humans to wake up? And that was very painful, very painful. My son is a profoundly gifted child, and he is not labeled with any of this. However, he is extremely sensitive, and he was homeschooled. And when he was homeschooled, I saw it was so difficult for him to connect with people because they were not sensitive. And he is, by grace of God, he is happy, he's perfectly functional in normalcy, as they call it. And he's a student of master's in aerospace engineer. I'm happy. I'm happy with him. It's just that I saw how gifted children were not understood correctly, especially children were not understood correctly, and how they were actually asking for, to a certain extent, for lack of a better word, in certain ways, they were begging for mercy, that please wake up. We are not what you think we are. Like profoundly gifted children, when my son was being tested, because a friend of ours, he used to go for pre-K and all hands-on stuff, because my son has always been very dexterous. So one of the parents of the friend just suggested, why don't you get him tested? Because it looks like he's profoundly gifted. And I got him tested, and yes, he touched the roof, like they call it ceiling and all that stuff. However, I didn't agree with it because I didn't want to burden him with a label that you're profoundly gifted, so and so is expected out of him. You do not have to skip grades. You do not have, like, he was in the first grade and he was finishing the 5th grade math. And it was, at that time, he was going to a private school system. And I was so disappointed to see that you work so hard to raise our children. We work so hard to raise our children, and then they are not recognized for their own inner strength. So all this institutionalization has no meaning for me. So I pulled him out of the school and I homeschooled him. So in order to homeschool him, I had to unschool him for a year or two for whatever institutionalization he had. And then that's how this entire journey started.
And you traveled. I remember your classroom was everywhere.
Yeah. Yes. We traveled. That's how we schooled. We learned different geography, different civilizations, different study material, how the demographics of each country and nation works, how the culture is, how the language is, their food, their entire dominion about being in certain kind of vibrational frequency. And that is how he was raised.
Wow. And he's an amazing person.
Yes, thank you.
You did a good job.
All children, thank you. All children are, all of us children. They're amazing. And that's what I believe in, Patty, that given a choice, given a place, if we parents recognize where our children come from, it would help them and help us to create a better future. Instead of shame-laden or guilt-laden or hopelessness and despair for not recognizing the true potential of parent and children both, they both are having a hard time, isn't it?
Yes.
Instead of that, if they would be given the higher bandwidth of recognizing what is their true potential, then a lot of misunderstanding and this detour can save generations together from where they are coming. Like my son was asked to skip grades and to go to college earlier. I did not do that because I believe a child has to be a child. I believe that age appropriate, a child has to make all the mistakes that the child must make. Mistakes are just because we judge them to be a mistake. For them, it's just a learning process.
Yeah. So instead of forcing them into our mold that we've created for them, give them the opportunity to explore, find their passion and support their passion, their gift.
How I believe it. That's such a good question. Such a good question. Why? Because it opens up a big Pandora. How I believe is observe where the child is coming from, because the child is always telling you what they want. Being sensitive to what the child wants to, what child is born for, because they are born in a family where certain kind of breakthrough is required. Yeah. So recognize what is that breakthrough that is the child has come for. What is the novelty that the child is bringing to this setup of what we have created as a family? What is it that they are bringing us? They are bringing us joy, of course, love, of course. Are they bringing us lessons and patience and new avenues of looking at things in different ways? That is the purpose of their child. Then recognize what is their innate gift within themselves, and then see how that can be helped. I would not say helped, how that could be supported in order for them to grow in their own essence. We have this programming that my child could be like me. You're robbing away the true potential and the character of your child. You let the child grow, may or may not be like of your liking, but let the child grow of what that character wants to grow into. And let the child learn when they want to turn around or back. The consistent element in the upbringing of every child, in my opinion, must be love, only love, unconditional love with specific attention at specific time required.
Yeah, I agree. And
We
then
do
they
not,
feel safe.
yes, safety comes from constructive criticism, not criticism, constructive criticism. And that's how I believe constructive criticism is, where you just offer two different scenarios to a child and explain the pros and cons of both. And that's how you guide a child to make a choice of what they or what they don't want.
Yeah, I like how you're saying that, because it's not like you're giving all the power to the child, like go do what you want. You're
Yeah.
there guiding, support. There are rules.
Yes.
Because I know that you had rules for your son, and they live in within those parameters. So you know how you grow up one way and you might want to go the opposite way. Like if you were over disciplined or overwatched, you are more lackadaisical with your own kids, and neither is great. But so I like what you're saying, because you're honoring the child, giving them that space to think for themselves and, explore what their gifts are. But yet you have the parameters, and they're not just out there alone, just trying to figure it out. It's great. It's a great approach.
Thank you. In 2016, they pulled out critical evaluation, good analysis from the SATs, what they give for children for their testing. And children have been manipulated to get out of critical thinking, because the analytical thinking got more and more prevalent in their curriculum, in their day-to-day connection, and their teachings, and every other aspect for our children. What has that done to all these generations? They have stopped to recognize creative, constructive thinking. So their analytical thinking is only for resolving solutions, resolving and bringing solutions in analytical way, not in the creative way. What does that do? They don't know how to resolve any emotional conditions in their life. They do not have patience. They do not have tolerance. They believe patience and tolerance is depression.
Right.
Because of the analytical and critical evaluation of their thought process. Why so many youth go for substance abuse now? Because they don't know what to do about themselves. And the parents don't know how to deal with them or how to connect with them. And when that happens, the children don't know who else to go to.
And then there's depression and anxiety and the medications that go along with that. Yeah. Yeah, it's quite a circle we're
tumultuous
in.
journey for that generation. And that's why when the youth comes with, they all are mostly high as a kite. Why? There's nothing wrong in honoring the plant, but they do not know the boundary of honoring and abusing, because there is no critical evaluation of what they are doing. They're just running away from their emotional engagement. That's why most of the youth do not have emotional maturity of recognizing how to be grounded. They jump from one relation to the other. They jump from connecting with the parent to disconnecting. They jump from one friend to the other. They jump from one career to the other because they cannot find stability within their own selves. So, what is the solution for all this? First of all, listen to them, show them the other perspective. The damage is very grave because their right side brain has not been utilized for a very long time, unless and until they are in the creative fields, of course.
And how exactly do you work? Because this is really needed. There's so many kids suffering from addiction, suicidal ideology. Like there's so much going on right now with the kids as they're getting into adulthood. So how exactly I know you work on the quantum level. Can you explain more for someone who's really resonating with what you're saying and wants to know more or work with you in some way?
Yeah, sure. I do not believe anybody else can heal somebody else. I believe one person can be a guide to show the other person which resonates or which does not resonate with them. So the way how I work with people is I bring them to their own awareness of what is working and what is in discord with themselves. And when the other person, when the client comes and when they say, Reshma, but this is what is happening. My process of working with them is I walk them through the process of self-recognition and self-awareness of what to do, how to do, and how to deal with their own questions. So I hold space with them of growing into their own environment of what to be done, what's to be done, how it's to be done, how to deal with it. That's where the critical evaluation for myself, I would teach myself. That's what I would show them. That they are capable of solving and resolving themselves. Of course, I'm standing there, right? That's the reason why they've come. So I would hold space with them. I would guide them. I would direct them, but empower them to take their own journey and their own decision so that they feel not codependent, but interdependent working with me. And
That's
train
really
them in
important.
such a way, thank you, and train them in such a way that after some time, they don't really require me. Because that's not the intention, Patty, right? We don't want to be creating a generation which is codependent.
Right.
We don't want to create a subdued generation. We want a thriving generation for the coming future, right? In whichever field is right for them. There is no judgment about what field they must choose. But it is prerequisite for every adult to know, to recognize what is it that they want in today's world.
Right.
That's how I work. So they come for sessions or sometimes do a small workshop for them. Little children do bigger workshop. I have a website, starseedparenting.com or my first name, last name.com, I call it, reshmashah.com. So they can reach out and I just facilitate personal growth in a way so that they feel empowered rather than be codependent that, oh, she's the fixer. I'm not a fixer. I'm a starseed. My job is to hold light. I'm a bridger. I bridge you from one dimension to the other. I'm a way shower. I'm a healer. I fight
like how you
against justice.
say you're a catalyst for divine transformation. I really like that because you are very authentic.
Thank you. That has got me in a lot of trouble, though. My authenticity has got me in a lot of trouble, but then I don't know any other way. I don't know any other way. Because everybody else is taken. That's what they say on earth, right?
Right. Well, I think we've covered so much and there's so much more that I want to ask you. So we'll have to continue. Is there anything you want to talk about more in this time we have together that we haven't?
Believe in yourself. Don't just follow the masses. And your heart always tells you the truth. Ask yourself what is it that is you are asking from yourself rather than asking from others. Be true to you. Be true to you. Believe in yourself. Because your heart space will always tell you the highest truth.
That's beautiful.
And then besides that, if you need me, I'm here.
I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reshma. It's been amazing talking with you.
Thank you,
and I really look
Patty.
forward to next time.
Thank you. Yes. So, yeah. Thank you.